What is up? Welcome to the DLF preview channel. We're here talking about the New York Jets. We're going to preview all the offseason moves that they made. So many awesome things that they did that I'm excited about. I'm going to temper my excitement. We're going to go to the experts as we've got some great people here to talk. We had so much fun like 3 months ago talking about the Jets that, let's just roll it back and have the same crew here to break down everything that this team did. So we're going to talk about the favorite moves of the offseason, the least favorite moves of the offseason. 2020 didn't go the way the Jets wanted to, but things are definitely looking bright and looking up as far as I'm concerned. A lot of reasons, as Howard said, to be excited about this Jets team. We're going to get into all those right after this. So we all know and love Howard. Larry, I'm going to start with you. Just go ahead and I appreciate you joining us. And tell everybody what you're doing, the podcast you've got, all the work you're doing, putting out there into the universe, and how we can support you over the course of this offseason.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm very happy to be here to talk Jets again with my buddy Rotobuzz guy, and Cal. Thanks again for having me on. This is wonderful. Yeah, man, I host the Dynasty Hot Sauce podcast, and we drop episodes once a week. You can find us on all of the streaming, the whatever you want to call it, streaming services. Where we have a Facebook page, Instagram, and we have a lot of guests. Me and my partner, Justin Rogers, at RunDFF on Twitter. You can find me at FF Larry Monkey on Twitter. And yeah, man, we're kind of like a good times pod. We have that little E next to our podcast name, so you might hear some words during the Dynasty Hot Sauce podcast that you might not hear tonight on this one. But yeah, man, I'm ready to talk some Jets. Everyone knows that I'm a big Jets fan, and I've always have a lot to say about the Jets. So let's rock and roll, man.
Another person who always has a lot to say, and that's Rotobuzz guy there up in the other corner. Howard, how are you today? And what are you working on that we could talk about?
Yeah, I'm all talked out. I'm just going to leave it as one word answers only tonight, if that's cool, right? No, listen, I am ridiculously overexposed. Monday through Friday, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. You can listen to me and Jim Bowden on the Fantasy Alarm Show. Tuesday through Fridays, the Ante Up podcast with me and Adam Ronis. That's on the SiriusXM app. It's on Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your basic podcasts. So, and then I'm all over the pages at fantasyalarm.com, dfsalarm.com, wageralarm.com. And you can find me in the New York Post also, right? Doing a little fantasy football and fantasy baseball content there as well. So that's where I'm at right now. And yeah, listen, I'm smack dab in the middle of, our Fantasy Alarm Living NFL Draft Guide, which we, roll out content all the time. Yesterday was a crazy day with the Cam Akers news. So we were all sitting there updating everything. And, I put out an article already about the AFC East coaching schemes. So anything that you need to see as far as what Robert Saleh and the company are going to do, well, I've outlined it there for you right there. So that's kind of what I'm up to.
You mentioned Robert Saleh, so we'll just go ahead and jump right into a team that looks very different than it did just a few months ago. So you may even have more than one. That's fine. Larry, back to you with what your favorite move of the offseason was.
Well, I mean, I almost feel like you can't say favorite move when it comes to the Jets this season because they just did – there was a flurry of moves. I mean, obviously the favorite move, I think, for everyone, not even Jets fans, was that – they replaced Adam Gase. He's gone. So, yeah, that's like kind of a chalky answer. They bring in Robert Saleh. Another chalky answer. I'm going to go with a move that they made very recently within the last month. They brought on Morgan Moses, the right tackle, solidifying that offensive line, adding more protection for Zach Wilson. Right tackle, bookends, Mekhi Becton. Just road graders, man. Let's get that rushing game. Let's get that running game going. Oh man, I'm digging it because we're talking about one of the worst offensive lines in all of football for God knows how long. Now, Joe Douglas, Mekhi Becton, Morgan Moses, 3 guys from Virginia. We all know Joe Douglas, former offensive lineman himself. You know he's gonna do that offensive line right. I mean, we're talking what were the measurements? So you got Becton 6'7", 363 pounds on one side. The right side, Morgan Moses 6'6", 330 pounds. Are you kidding me? I mean, he hasn't missed a game in about 6 seasons, playing all 16 games. He graded out PFF 79.9 as the 18th best right tackle. Chicago almost made a play for him, but he wanted to play in a position that he's most comfortable with, which is right tackle. Jets had a huge need there, and the fact that they brought him on just last month, it just takes this line to another level. And I think with the rushing attack, you need a good rushing attack in order to keep that young quarterback safe. But yeah, I mean, out of all the moves they did, and there's so many we could discuss, we don't have that much time. But yeah, man, I'm going to go Morgan Moses. Be a little bit different.
And you love building from the trenches there. I mean, that's, obviously moves being made all over the team, but building from the trenches, you can't go wrong with that. So, Howard, how about you? What was your favorite move of the offseason?
I mean, it's definitely fixing this offensive line as well. And I'll go, the Morgan Moses, to be the bookend with Mekhi Becton. I do worry a little bit about guys that big because the wear and tear on the lower half of the body, like we saw Mekhi Becton come out of a couple of games last year. I do worry about like their knees and their ankles because that's a lot of weight, and you're really trying to make these lateral movements for a guy that size and as quick as they are. But I mean, listen, trading up to be able to get Elijah Vera Tucker in the middle of that draft, that, with him and Becton, that solidifies the blind side for Zach Wilson. I might not be a big Zach Wilson guy. I personally preferred Justin Fields. I preferred that they went for Javonte Williams over Elijah Moore in the second round, but they had a plan. They stuck to it, and really building up that offensive line and trading up for Vera Tucker. I mean, I think that really just kind of cinched things up, and it's going to give the kid Wilson a lot more confidence, knowing that he's got the protection that he really does have. I think that's going to be huge. Just in his development. I don't care. I'm not that I don't care, but I want to see game by game growth from Zach Wilson. He doesn't have to come out and be a hero right from the start. I want to see steady improvement over the course of the season. And I think that comes with the security that you're not going to get your brains beat in by, opposing defensive linemen who are just pushing through your line like it's made out of rice paper.
And I like the move because, they had a lot of picks, as we talked about a few months ago, and they knew what they wanted, and they were aggressive and went up and got their guy, and they still wound up, making a lot of picks in the draft. And, they went and got what seemed like a lot of really good value, but, not everything is rainbows and sunshine, as, Jets fans certainly know, right? So what's your least favorite move of the offseason? Howard, I'll go back to you for your least favorite.
Corey Davis. I hate him. I absolutely hate Corey Davis. He is not a receiver I like. He doesn't really get good separation. He's not a number one. He's a role player. And listen, I think that, we saw that with him in Tennessee because, you looked at the way Tennessee's offense developed, and all of a sudden Ryan Tannehill coming off of a great season last year. You saw some, good development in that offensive scheme, and Corey Davis did nothing. He did nothing. I don't know if he was just discouraged or if he was like, oh, A.J. Brown's getting all the attention. Whatever the case may be, he's always been, because all the Western Michigan truthers out there keep overhyping him, especially in the fantasy community. But yeah, like this is not a wide receiver I want to invest in ever. And so that one kind of bummed me out.
That's interesting. So, Larry, how about you? What do you think about his least favorite?
I'm with Howard on this, but I'm not going to complain about any offensive pieces that you're adding to this team, because this is a team that had no offensive pieces. So just throw it all against the wall and see what sticks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is the roadmap. This is the Buffalo roadmap. They just signed a bunch of as many offensive linemen. Okay, so Josh Allen gets signed, Sam Darnold gets signed. What does what's his name do? He just signs a bunch of defensive guys. You know, the worst GM in the world, Mike McCagnon, that ever lived, Mike McCagnon. Buffalo signs all these offensive linemen. He brings wide receivers in. He's just filling this room with all this talent and see how it shakes out. I feel like that's where we're at with the Jets right now. Yes, Corey Davis is not. He's not going to be the crown jewel of your offense, but he is a serviceable wide receiver too. And again, we have some very young pieces: Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore. You want to bring a veteran presence in. He has that draft capital. He's a 5th overall pick a few years back. He's never really risen to that wide receiver 1 expectation. I mean, he's a wide receiver 2. But, maybe we can get something out of him. Who knows? Most of these guys, when they get a big contract, they tend to take the foot off the gas a little bit. Corey Davis seems to have never really had his foot on the gas. So maybe, he has flashed. He has flashed in the past. He's dealt with some injuries, as everybody else pretty much does in the NFL. But, yeah, I think Corey Davis isn't bad. But the question is, what was my least favorite move of the offseason? Listen, when this draft was we were approaching the NFL draft, I wanted nothing to do with defense. I didn't care about defense. We've never paid attention to the offense, and I just wanted them to pound offense in the draft. It started out well. First 3 picks, then they go Michael Carter with the first pick in the fourth, their first pick in the 4th round. Love that pick, but then they just went all defense after that, and there's not a lot not to like of what the Jets, and that's, I mean, I feel like somebody should pinch me because you never really say that about the Jets when it comes to the draft, because they just make bad decision after bad decision. They're famous. Right. But, I mean, I really liked a lot of the moves. I feel like Joe Douglas has this team under his spell right now, and I'm really excited with I have never really been this optimistic before, not since the Parcells days, really, honestly. And so the fact that they just they've added defensive pieces there. I mean, we have nobody in the tight end room. Brevin Jordan was available. Noah Gray was still available there at that point. They also could have brought in John. I mean, they wanted to sign Jonnu Smith, from what I understand. Obviously, he went to New England. So there's not a lot that I didn't like about this offseason, but you know what? I wanted to go. Let's go all gas on that offense, Robert Saleh. Let's just load up. We could have won a couple more picks on the offense. I know we paid a hefty price for Elijah Vera Tucker. We gave up 2 third-round picks. I love everything about that trade. Just lock up that side of the line. Just keep filling that line. They have a lot of depth on there now. Obviously, we are a 2-14 team, so we're not going to automatically catapult, to the top of the AFC East. But I like what they've done, and if I could nitpick, I would say, let's just hammer away. Let's hammer away some more offensive pieces, just like they did to that wide receiver room. Running backs, we could talk about them in a little bit, but yeah, I would just say, they could have pounded the offense a little bit more.
I am flabbergasted that there's no Chris Herndon love coming from you, Larry. That hurts. What's wrong with you? Chris Herndon is a national treasure. He's gonna be. Oh no, he's not. Never mind.
You know what? We can't really talk too much about Chris Herndon because I know this is a family show, and the words. Chris Herndon's just going to bring out some profanity, and no one wants to hear that from me on this show.
Jets certainly know how to bring out the division rivals. We've got a Dolphins fan clearly in here in the comments. Appreciate you tuning in, Aaron, and listening to us talk about the Jets. Yeah. And then Jordan, who is a Carolina Panthers fan, who was on my Carolina preview here just a little bit ago. Are you ready for the Sam Darnold revenge week 1? And we didn't talk about that move, but that was pretty big for the Jets too, right?
So much. That's gonna listen. I am, and Jordan, get the hell out of here, man. Come on. We don't need this from you. But I will say this. When Darnold drops 325 and 3 touchdowns on us in week 1, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. I thought we should have kept Darnold. I really do. I think we should have kept him and utilize the fact that he did have 2 years of experience in the NFL as opposed to going for Wilson. But I this Carolina offense, I don't mean to just completely deviate from talking Jets. This Carolina offense with the underneath routes that that Matt Rule and Joe Brady like to do, to be able to send either Anderson or Moore deep, to release McCaffrey into the passing. Like, you're going to have receivers zipping in all over the place here. And Darnold's going to be able to pick apart defenses a lot better. Like, I wish I had that with the Jets right now, with Sam Darnold and a couple of these receivers. But, I mean,
it is what it is. There's no excuses for Darnold this year. And, hey, listen, we're starting fresh. Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets, did not draft Sam Darnold. Robert Saleh did not coach Sam Darnold. So there's really I understand the direction they wanted to take and just have a clean reset, clean break. Let's start over, start fresh. We have all this draft capital. We still have a ton of picks next year. So let's just build upon the young QB. We have some nice building blocks in place and a great nucleus of young talent to build off of. I really like the direction the Jets are going in right now.
I want to stick with the QB for just a second and kind of go off our sheet because, it was a controversial move. I don't think not very many people had Zach Wilson as the number 2 quarterback in this draft. There were a lot of people who had it the other way. The Jets didn't. Part of the reasons why, when I was researching this and looking through, is they loved the continuity. They felt like his offense that he ran in BYU was very similar to the one that LaFleur runs. And they thought he could come right in and be able to kind of hit the ground running. They liked his intangibles. They loved some of his character, his makeup, some of those things. Howard, you're as plugged in as anybody to the Jets. I mean, what are you hearing about how this transition to Zach Wilson could go?
I think it all hinges on his mom and social media, right?
Oh, hey now.
Right? Isn't that right? Isn't she like some crazy whacked out, nut job on social media or something like that? I don't know. Listen, I didn't see the intangibles. I didn't see the intangibles with Zach Wilson that the Jets did. But I'm sitting here, in my home, in my office, right? I am not at Jets camp. I am not in their offices. So I'm not going to sit there and totally criticize them for the move. They see something there that they like. I'm going to have to just kind of wait and see. One of the things that always kind of concerns me a little bit is, when they, in that offensive scheme, yes, it's got some similarities from BYU to the Jets, but Zach Wilson's all about that hero ball, right? He loves throwing it up downfield. He loves being able to hit that guy on that deep play. And, that's not this style of offense. Yes, you use the run to set up the pass, right? But, West Coast style passing, I hate to say dink and dunk, but it's the short, quick timing routes. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Zach Wilson peppering his receivers, taking a 3-step drop and hitting a guy immediately in stride. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see, some kid who just wants to chuck it downfield and, and wow, there you go, a 72-yard touchdown bomb. So, that's what I'm looking for in training camp, right now, when we get to see a little bit more video of him in pads and working out and having defenders chasing him. So I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it was the worst move that they made. But, again, I'm lukewarm on it.
Hey, got it. He's going to have to prove it, no doubt. And, that's being the number 2 pick. I mean, he's got a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be trying to prove they should have been that pick, and he's going to have to work really hard. Larry, the comp that I saw that I can't get out of my mind for him is somebody comped him to Jay Cutler, which sounds like a negative thing, but Jay Cutler had a lot of talent. I mean, there was certainly a lot of things about Jay Cutler that, there were times in New York you wish you would have had Jay Cutler, right?
I wanted the Jets to draft Jay Cutler actually way back when, but of course they never did. But in regards to Zach Wilson, every year it seems that the fantasy community picks a quarterback that they just want to dump all over. And last year was Herbert. Year prior to that was Josh Allen. And There's always a QB that kind of takes a hit and then rises to the challenge. And I'm hoping, as a Jets fan, that Zach Wilson is this. Listen, I mean, his best trait is his ability to extend plays. He does a good job of adjusting his arm angle to generate throwing windows. He's an underrated rusher as well. I mean, he's not going to have blazing speed where he's not Lamar Jackson or anything like that, or Justin Fields. But I mean, he did have 10 rushing touchdowns last year. The Jets finished last in points last year. New offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. I mean, I feel like he'll put Wilson in a position to succeed. A lot of play action to create those bigger throwing windows, using that motion that'll allow him to identify coverage and just create those looks. He's got the ability to create and make those plays on the move by getting him out of the pocket. And I think that, with the upgraded offensive line and these young receivers, and, obviously there's going to be a transition to the NFL coming. I mean, that was another knock on Zach Wilson, was the competition in college wasn't, but then again, he wasn't throwing to pro receivers. I think one of his receivers got drafted in the 7th round, where you look at Mac Jones, where, these guys have been throwing to first rounders. So, I think that this could be a good pick for the Jets, and we'll see how it goes. I'm curious. I'm as curious as everyone else, because again, he kind of came out of nowhere. We had a Joe Burrow type, a Baker Mayfield. So this is another guy that kind of just came out of the woodwork. And during COVID, he was on TV a lot because there weren't any other teams that were really playing, but BYU ended up playing a lot of games, and they were on TV. But I mean, I missed a lot of that because the Jets weren't supposed to be this horrible. But they ended up getting this QB. And while all the building up to the draft, all of these experts and draft analysts were mocking Zach Wilson to the Jets, and it just can't. It was more and more, bigger and bigger, hearing this and that. Jets at 2, it was Wilson at 2, Wilson at 2. It happened, and hopefully it won't be a Mitch Trubisky situation.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to kind of just keep the conversation rolling here. Zach Wilson aside, this offense does not succeed without a supportive ground game, right? Like that's where everything is predicated. This offensive scheme is predicated on using the run to set up the pass. All right. We saw the way they ran things in San Francisco, right? And it was just rotating backs in there, making sure that you were running the ball heavily, set up that play action. And that I think might be, a bit of an issue, a bit of a sticking point for us. You've got, Tevin Coleman, who's never stayed healthy. You've got Ty Johnson, maybe. And then Michael Carter, who's, really, I mean, I'm not going to just label him as a satellite back only. I mean, I want to see him do a little bit more, but like that's what I need to see develop here with the Jets more. And that's what's going to help Zach Wilson develop more if he's got that supportive ground game behind him.
Yeah, I really like that. And a question came in here. A couple of people are already asking about Michael Carter. Howard, just back to you, and then Larry, jump in. Like, what do you think about Michael Carter and his fit? You said satellite back. I think a lot of people would be kind of disappointed if that were the case. Is that what you really believe? He's just going to kind of be a satellite guy?
No, I think he's going to be a little bit more than that. But I mean, listen, this again, the scheme dictates a lot of outside zone runs, which is fine, which is, he's got the speed to do that. He's got the speed to take it to the outside. Can the tackles pull enough can the guards come around and pull past the tackles, enough to push everything to the outside and set these guys up so that they can turn the corner. Again, I'm a little lukewarm on it, because I thought that Javonte Williams in the 2nd round would have been the better pick. I think he's a little bit more durable at the NFL level than what Michael Carter might be. So I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. I don't think Tevin Coleman can stay healthy enough. I don't want to rely on Ty Johnson. So maybe Michael Carter just he's got to beef up a little bit more and do more than just be that pass catching back.
Larry, part of the reason why we get excited about Michael Carter might be because of the competition that's there, right? And the scheme and he's got comes from the 49ers, and you think about the Shanahan influence, and he's got the LaFleur last name. Could this be like a Keyshawn Vaughn situation, or is this you have higher hopes for that?
I'm all in on Michael Carter. I mean, I understand Howard. We're Jets fans, and when you get beat down so much as we have, you're just like you can't get excited anymore.
I forget Larry and I are like the same age, right? Like it's decades of this. So
oh my God, yes. So, but yeah, I'm in on Michael Carter. Listen, I have him comp to Devontae Freeman, and I think that they are similar stature. I mean, again, Carter's an undersized back. He's got quick feet. He's got great top end speed, decisive, explodes through the hole. He's got soft hands. He can turn it on after the catch. I mean, he's a human highlight reel when you think about it. If you just go on YouTube or whatever and search for Michael Carter highlights, he's still developing as a route runner, but he has that burst to separate, and I think he's going to emerge. They love him. I mean, there's the argument that said, well, if the Jets loved him so much, why'd they let him slide to the second pick of the fourth round when they had 2 third-round picks that they traded for? I mean, why didn't they trade back into the third round to get Michael Carter? Well, you know what? He fell. I mean, who knows what goes on when all these GMs are talking during the draft. He fell to the second pick in the fourth round, but they love him. He made a great one-handed catch. I don't know if you've seen that in one of those training camp highlights. He's having a fun time. He's literally a human highlight reel. He's a lot of fun to watch, brings a lot of energy to that backfield. And again, Tevin Coleman, I feel like maybe starts the season. He knows that offense very well. And like Howard said, Tevin Coleman can't stay healthy. And, I wouldn't trust him. I would trade for him. I would trade nothing to get him. And maybe just, maybe he'll start the season. But I feel like by week 5, Michael Carter has this backfield. And I mean, he might not be the long-term answer, but I feel like he might be a great complementary player to who they draft next season with all those picks that they have. But I think for now, he's 5'8", 201 pounds. I think right now, what is he? DLF. His DLF ADP he's RB27, going right around Myles Gaskin, Chris Carson, Damian Harris. I would rather have Carter than all of those guys. Well, I'm not in on Carter. I'm not a Carson guy. I'm not a Kareem Hunt guy. I took Carter over Trey Sermon. So I'm a Jets fan. I'm a homer. And again, I've never been a fantasy Jets guy. I'm an anti-fan. I don't want any Jets on my team from a fantasy perspective. And that's gone forever. That's always gone on forever. I'm getting Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore and Michael Carter anywhere I can. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I want to hammer on that a little bit, and I'm going to toss it back over to Howard, because I think there's a lot of people that are avoiding Jets right now because they're like, oh, it's the Jets, and this the 32nd, like you said, 32nd most least amount of points scored last year, least amount of yards last year. Like
the last 2 seasons, they've been 32 on offense.
But doesn't that create a little bit of a buying opportunity for some of these guys? And Howard, like who are you looking to? Oh, I clicked on the wrong ones. I'm sorry. Who are you looking to acquire from the Jets?
Well, I mean, it's funny that you say that. I just did my pros versus Joe's draft the other day, and that's got, like an overall prize also. So, the idea of stacking is just, it's something that a lot of people look into. I built a Chargers stack in that one there, but, in doing so, taking Keenan Allen where you take him, taking Justin Herbert where you take him, it doesn't allow you to really jump in on the running back. So I took Michael Carter. I think it was maybe the 6th or 7th round. Was when I grabbed him. And then I was like, you know what? Sitting there at the tail end of the draft, last 2 rounds, my last 2 picks were Zach Wilson and Denzel Mims. Because here's the thing. They'll probably be playing from behind. The secondary really isn't that good. They're going to be throwing the ball. Carter will be on the field, right? Mims has the potential of being the deep threat, the number 1 guy there. That's kind of a tasty little stack for the price. I paid nothing for it. I got myself Michael Carter. It's a PPR format there. So I grabbed Carter. and I sit with him, but for nothing in cost to get Zach Wilson, who is going to start from day one. Stop taking Trey Lance and Justin Fields, right? Because you don't know when those guys are going to play, right? There's a good chance that Lance sits for 3/4 of this season. There's a chance that Justin Fields sits for like half the season. Who knows? I think Fields comes in at week 4, but Zach Wilson, starting quarterback from day one in an offense that will have to pass, all right, to stack up those Jets there at the end of your draft for nothing. I mean, that's definitely worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. Like, what about you? There's some more wide receivers, and it sounds like maybe Chris Herndon might be your answer, Larry.
Well, no, there are no tight ends worth rostering on the Jets right now. Stay away from the Jets tight end room. You have Chris Herndon, you have Tyler Kroft, who's challenging him. I mean, there's really nothing to challenge because Herndon's either going to get hurt or he's going to get arrested, until he doesn't do either of those two things in an off season. I'm staying away from Jets tight ends. But in terms of running backs, like I said, I mentioned Tevin Coleman, just to maybe get the season started piece. I mean, you want to get those early wins. I feel like he wins the starting job just based on his familiarity with the system. But I feel like Michael Carter emerges there. You have Ty Johnson also. He got that 4.3 speed. A bit of a journeyman, undrafted guy, but he flashed towards the end of the last season. But I feel like this is Michael Carter's team once we get into the heart of the season. In terms of wide receivers, I feel like the upside plays here for the Jets are Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. I feel like Elijah Moore could actually be a league winner. You draft him on your team, stash him on your bench. He's eventually going to emerge. He's already building that chemistry with Zach Wilson. They're having a nice, boys. Zach Wilson's got all his wide receivers down. I think they're in Florida throwing the ball around. So you're seeing videos like that happening. But Corey Davis is the wide receiver 1 on the Jets right now. Zach Wilson will be throwing the ball, and someone's got to catch it. And if Corey Davis is the wide receiver 1, I mean, these guys also have stuff to prove. I mean, he was signed to be the wide receiver 1. So we'll see how long that lasts. But I feel like in terms of anybody that might have, I mean, how silly is this for me to even say, Howard, league winning upside on from a Jets? I don't know, man. Elijah Moore. I like the Elijah Moore pick in the second round. The Jets had him 16th overall on their big board. They had Elijah Vera Tucker at 10. So they from their board, they got 3 guys that were in their top 16 on their big board that they were able to draft. So the Jets, I can't. I just feel dirty talking so positive about that. I need a shower.
I probably would have been a little bit more bullish on Elijah Moore if we let Jamison Crowder go, right? Because Elijah Moore definitely profiles as a slot receiver. He's not, somebody you want streaking downfield on the outside. But with Crowder there, obviously it's going to help the learning curve, I think. But yeah, I'm just not so sure about Elijah Moore. I thought you were messing with me when you called him a league winner. I thought you were just like playing.
He played in 8 games last year, and he put up some serious stats in only 8 games. I mean, the Jets have ranked 32 in offense the last 2 years. Elijah Moore's a home run threat. I mean, he had 86 receptions for almost 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2020. That was only 8 games. Then he opted out. So, I mean, he has the burst to separate in man coverage. He's a natural hands catcher. I mean, who was he playing with? AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Elijah Moore. It's coming from that tree of wide receivers. AJ Brown has said, he's been quoted as saying Elijah Moore's better than him. So I mean, I'll take that. I mean, he's an undersized slot receiver. He can play he can play all the receiving positions. They might start him out in the slot. I mean, that's going to be an interesting camp battle that we'll get into in a little bit. Between him and Jamison Crowder. And again, it's almost as if maybe Crowder starts it out again, like I was saying with the Tevin Coleman, and kind of passes the torch on to Elijah Moore. I don't think it's going to be that. I think Elijah Moore is going to be in that starting lineup a lot sooner than later. And to Howard's point, as far as Jamison Crowder, why do we need him? I feel, I wouldn't feel threatened by him because, again, all these guys get hurt. They all miss time. The Jets have had the worst wide receiver core forever, except for that anomaly 2015 season with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. But outside of that, they've had the worst wide receivers in the world. The Jets Twitter hates me for I've argued with Jets Twitter over the years about the Jets wide receivers there because everyone has rose-colored glasses when it comes to being a Jets fan. I have never had rose-colored glasses. I know this entire show, it looks like I got these giant rose-colored glasses on. But yeah, man, I'm excited for Elijah Moore. I'm getting him everywhere. I just drafted him today. I actually traded my pick. Josh Fields was coming to me out. This is a 48 team 4-copy league, Dynasty Diagnostic Champions League, where you have 12 teams, 4 leagues of 12 teams, and the rookie draft is ongoing right now. So it's 1-1-1-1, 2-2-2-2, 3-3-3-3, basically. So I was up. I had the last Justin Fields copy was coming to me. I traded it away. I traded down, picked up some assets and a couple of picks. And with those picks, I took Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore. I am that high on them. Wilson's my QB3. Maybe he can bump, maybe work his way into that QB2 on my team. But yeah, I'm all in on Elijah Moore. He's awesome. I would have traded back into the first round for him, actually.
I love that we have kind of both perspectives. Like you said, you're kind of more optimistic. Howard, you're kind of waiting to see. You're kind of
it's not that I'm being pessimistic here. I just think that I think we do have to temper the enthusiasm on this because just need to see it on the field. You're right. I am more of a need to see it. I'll invest if it's not going to cost me anything, but if I'm in a dynasty league and I have the opportunity to take Justin Fields, I'm not trading down for Elijah Moore. That's for sure.
So are you looking to trade away? I mean, obviously we talked about Corey Davis, and so I guess if there's anybody who's buying him, sounds like you'd be trading away. But are you kind of that wait and see where you might be the one that's selling Elijah Moore to Larry?
You know what? If I were in a league with Larry, I'd be selling all my Jets to him because he is clearly ready to overpay for all of these guys, and I'm all for that, 100%. I will happily trade Elijah Moore. Listen, you know what? In a dynasty league, I'll trade any kid. I really will. There are obviously some generational talents that you want to get shares of, but to me, until a guy proves himself worthy in the NFL, I'm not gonna, go crazy over it. There's too much player movement, too much coaching movement that goes on in the NFL to sit there and really invest in certain guys in a dynasty format because, by the time Elijah Moore, develops, Mike LaFleur could be on his way to going in, to a head coaching job somewhere else. And then where are you at? All of a sudden now it's a new regime coming in. Maybe it's a new scheme. Is Elijah Moore going to be able to, to produce in the new scheme there? That's, so for me, it's tougher.
If we're talking about Mike LaFleur getting a head coaching opportunity, that means the Jets offense has done a pretty damn good job, and I'm all in on that. So
That's a good point.
Go ahead. Get that head coaching job, Mike.
Well, I'm going to jump right into these storylines because Larry, you mentioned it here, camp battles, things like that. We are going to be looking at Elijah Moore versus Jamison Crowder, and that was kind of disappointing that they kept him around, but I guess at the same time, he's competent. You know what he can do. He's a pro. He can win out of the slot, and that might give your young quarterback a reliable weapon. But even though I know you guys aren't super excited about him, what about him? I mean, if he wins and is dominating snaps out of the slot, is he somebody that we need to be paying attention to that for that reason?
I mean, I think any Jets that are tradable are like throw-ins on another deal. No one's making a Jamison Crowder deal. No one's making a Corey Davis deal with the baggage that he comes with, unless he busts out of the gate. If he comes out strong, if he has like a Stephen Hill, week 1 of the season, right, Howard?
Oh, that would be phenomenal. He would be like, I'm not going to have any shares of him, but oh man, just to see that happen, just to fish hook somebody. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like,
so
trade these guys. Trade them.
Stephen Hill has supposedly had this Calvin Johnson upside, this super raw wide receiver that Tannenbaum took him in the second round.
Yep.
And I think he played for Virginia Tech. I don't know. He came from a run first offense, but he was, oh yeah. And then he comes out week 1, he catches 2 touchdown passes, and then he just disappeared. That was it. Just faded into existence. Yeah, the knee injury. That was it for him. I think he did some time in Carolina, and then he just fizzled out. But yeah, man,
43 overall.
Corey Davis has that big week 1, if he has a week 1, week 2, week 3. I don't see Corey Davis as being any type of long-term, big time receiver. I feel like if he busts out of the gate, then try to get anything he can for him.
What Howard, what kind of storylines are you paying attention to, or camp battles in New York?
What I'm really paying attention to is how the secondary unfolds. I don't love the corners. I want to see somebody step up from there. Like Marcus May is a solid guy, and I'm happy to see him, blossom here. But I want to see, Bryce Hall, Pinnock, Ballantine, Bless Austin. Like, I want to see who's going to step up as the cover corners, because if you don't have tight corners there in coverage, then you're in trouble. You're just in trouble. It doesn't matter how well you stop the run with Sheldon Rankins and Quinnen Williams there in the middle, right? You can stuff the run all you want. If your corners can't, hang with the receivers, then that's the trouble there. That's probably the most important thing that I'm looking at for Jets camp coming up. I think we pretty much know exactly what to expect from this offense. I don't think they're, the backs will rotate in. We know who's going to lead the way as the wide receivers. Zach Wilson's got the job. Ask Larry, the tight ends are trash anyway. So for me, it's the secondary and really how that develops this summer.
Yeah, I mean, offensive skill position wise, I mean, like we talked about earlier, Herndon and Croft. Who knows what? I mean, it's not that's a battle. It's a tight end battle. If you want to talk about battles, I'm curious. I'm not all in on paying attention to that, but I'm curious to see how that shakes out. Herndon had one decent season, but he just hasn't gotten it together. And again, old regime, so who knows? Michael Carter. The running backs, you got Josh Adams, you got Ty Johnson, you got Tevin Coleman. You have a whole flurry of running backs. So there's another camp battle, how that's going to shake out. And again, the wide receivers are Corey. I mean, you have Denzel, you have the young guys, Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore. You got Keelan Cole, you got the veterans, and Keelan Cole, who they just signed to a decent contract, a nice contract, who had a nice spring camp or the training camp so far. And, they talked about him being that wide receiver too. And Mims was running with the twos, all off season. I think they were challenging Mims. I mean, Mims was banged up last year. Again, the Adam Gase effect. We'd love to see Mims and Moore, take the jobs away from these veterans. And, maybe that's why Douglas has kept these guys around, signed Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder still around, bringing in Keelan Cole, who was effective down in Jacksonville when he had playing time. So I like the skill positions that we have right now. We're still building it out. We're still building out this team. So, it's a 2-win team. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're over under. Vegas has them, and I think like 6 or 6.5 wins. And I'm right around there. How about you, Howard? Do you think what do you got, the over or under there?
For a team as garbage as they were, they really have a tough schedule, right? Like, I mean, they really got saddled with a tough schedule. I would love 6 wins out of this team. I would love to see it. You know, I don't know. Again, for me, and listen, some people see things, totally differently. I just want to see growth. I don't expect them to make the playoffs. I don't expect them to compete. I expect them to lose a lot more than they win. I just want to see growth. I want to see Zach Wilson develop. I want to see something happen with Michael Carter. I want to see what spills out from this passing attack. I want to see the offensive line work together, stay healthy, and be a force. So that way, guess what? Next year, all of a sudden, if your offensive line is great, that's what's going to bring in free agents. That's you've got the draft capital, so you can definitely do something with this squad if these guys develop in year one, like under solid. And I mean, all the Jets, we know where the strengths are. We know where the weaknesses are. We just need to see something from them. Seriously, they could lose every game this season and it wouldn't bother me as long as I watched the game and I said, wow, okay, really good stuff out of this guy. Really nice work out of that guy. It didn't happen on the scoreboard, but if they're competitive, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
So really quick, like 10-second answer here. I'll ask both of you the same question. Let's start with you, Larry. Who leads this team in targets?
Who leads the team in targets? Oh, I'll just say Corey Davis. Yeah.
Howard?
They signed him to be the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, sadly, I will. I'll agree. I hate myself for saying it, but I'll agree.
He showers after this.
Yeah, seriously, right? Like, oh, I got the heebie-jeebies now.
Terrible.
All right, Howard. Then same type of question, but who leads the team in carries?
Tevin Coleman.
Larry?
Oh, Michael Carter. Ball in on Carter. Love him.
Yes, we know.
Listen, Tevin Coleman, I mean, if he can stay healthy, but that's the thing. A guy gets a broken wheel every couple of games.
You rarely see teams tip their hands the way that, like, when I was looking in, I was surprised how much pre-draft there was talk from the Jets about Michael Carter. They actually talked about him a good bit and how much they liked him. So, that kind of gives me a little bit of hope for what he could be. So I might be on Larry's side with that one.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, this is the Shanahan system where they use a multitude of backs. They rotate in. They like to bring the waves of running backs, a different wave, to attack that defense. So if Carter can emerge from this pack, I mean, it's not a great running back room by any stretch.
No.
So, I mean, we're talking about Tevin Coleman and a fourth round rookie right now.
Michael Pirine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's not forget about Pirine, who was also a fourth rounder. So, I mean, we didn't mention Pirine. He could be phased out again, but also, maybe there'll be a role for him. And again, you need the bodies with all these injuries that happen.
Well, I think that just about breaks down everything that we could break down for the Jets. So I appreciate you guys for showing up and helping me do this. A lot of fun as always. Larry, just one last time, tell everybody, what specific piece do you have coming out here that everybody can tune into or check out?
Oh, well, guess what? I'm going to have RotoBuzz guy on the Dynasty Hot Sauce pod in a couple of weeks, I think. Is that I got that in your calendar, huh? That's a little snippet there.
We go.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at FFLarryMonkey. I host the Dynasty Hot Sauce pod at Dynasty Hot Sauce. We get into all kinds of crazy stuff on the show, talk Dynasty football, trades. We really get into our guest. We have a different guest every week. We like to, it's like an interview type of show and then we get into fantasy football and stuff like that. But it's we're really having a lot of fun with it. Me and my partner, Justin Rogers at Run DFF. And, man, we have a lot of guests booked already, and I've noticed that it's almost not as fun when you have like a month or 6 weeks worth of guest plan. I like running around and being like, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing next week? You know, but yeah. So follow the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and yeah, we're just grinding out content, man. Pushing that content, baby.
Love it. Howard, how about you? Like, what's something you have coming out that everybody needs to check out?
Well, I mean, obviously all the stuff that we've got in the Fantasy Alarm NFL Draft Guide, you can go to fantasyalarm.com/draft now. Use the promo code draft now, take 20% off. Got you there. Every Friday night, I run a sports talk show, which is more entertainment aspect than it is fantasy value, but it's called Getting Buzzed. It comes out every Friday. We bring in a variety of guests that we've had, and that's a good time. More of like a get to know you type of talk show for a number of fantasy analysts. That shows, so that's on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. You can check that out every Friday night. And like I said, follow me on Twitter at RotoBuzzGuy. I do have other stuff coming up here. It's called The Next Big Fantasy Thing, and that's a project in the works right now where we've got we're pitting 12 aspiring fantasy analysts to compete for a full-time job in the industry. They compete in a league, but they also compete in challenges as well. Things that a content provider would have to do for a major network company. So we've got that's going to be starting up in the fall, along with the start of the fantasy football season. So be on the lookout for The Next Big Fantasy Thing.
Very cool. I'm glad you plugged that too. So so for these guys, for DLF, look, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead, just hit that button right down there below. Make sure it says subscribed. If it doesn't, just go ahead and get on that. You're going to like the content that we're providing. Addison does a great job at producing content here by himself. Those solo videos are really hard to do. He does a great job at them. Make sure you're checking those out. Hit the like button, comment down below, tell us your favorite Jets, something like that. Helps the algorithm out, helps people find the video so they can. But look, don't worry, your league mates won't find it. Don't worry. It's just going to be you and your friends, people that you don't play against. Don't worry about that. And so for these guys, for DLF, I am Cal, and make sure you check me out at Calvin and Hobby. And appreciate you tuning in.